Heyo, what's up everyone? It's V-Sips. Welcome to the channel. Today we have a brand new video about my 2026 backlog going over games 1 through 15 of the games I beat so far this year. Now, as of the recording of today's video, I actually have already beat over 40 games, but we're just talking about the first 15. Starting with The Dark Queen of Marthom. This game is an indie game. Imagine playing a video game where you are the final boss. That's essentially what the Dark Queen of Marthom is. You play as the Dark Queen who takes pride in her palace and her legion of subordinates until the hero comes around, and the hero constantly tries and tries to defeat you, and you just consistently take them down, stop them. The hero eventually just gets stronger and stronger, gaining new abilities as they progress through your entire region and your legion of subordinates, taking them all out. And you start to realize, after fighting violently, you die. Yes, the game ends with you dying, which is kind of crazy. But realistically, how else was the game going to end? You were the final boss. The hero was going to beat you eventually. So overall, very unique gameplay experience. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Next, we have Expedition 33, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I do want to say, as it was the game of the year for 2025, I was trying my best to finish that game last year, so it'd be part of the 2025 backlog videos, so that was not possible. I did get to finish it at the start of this year, and it was a great game, but for all the non-stop praise and glaze Expedition 33 has had, I don't think it was a game of the year game. It is a very good RPG that is inspired by many greats. It's just, for me, it could have been better in some ways. Like, for example, I think the combat was good with the Picto system, but I feel like the overall setting of the gameplay relied on parrying more than it did dodging and other parts of the gameplay as a whole. Also, the story, I really liked Act 2 and Act 3, but Act 1, it only hooked me that first hour. The rest of Act 1, I felt like it was a slog until that final end part of Act 1 happened. I thought the characters were pretty cool, most specifically Verso and Mael and Luna were my favorites. I do think Gustav deserved better, but overall, outside of that being an issue, I also was not a fan of the platforming portions, which that was mostly side content if you got to experience that, but I was not a fan of that at all. It was bad, real bad. But this RPG is something that I think was a great game, just glazed a bit too much last year. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Next is Pac-Man World Repack 2. Now, I was playing Pac-Man World Repack 2 for a few months on and off between 2025 and the very beginning of 2026. I finally beat it pretty much right after I beat Expedition 33 in the same day. So I spent many months trying to beat it, and I do think it improved upon the original repack with this remake. It superseded World Repack 1 in every way. And unlike the original Pac-Man World Repack 2, this has full voice acted dialogue for its characters within the story, which they really put in that extra effort. And this is more of a budget title with its price too, which that's totally worth it for that alone. In the sequel, the ghosts obviously sneak into the Pac Village to steal the golden fruit. You gotta collect them back and also save Pac-Boy Pac-Sis, all from Pac World. And it was a great remake of a 3D platformer. The music for the soundtrack had plenty of things to listen to, and you can swap out the music tracks at any time while you're playing, which made it very accessible. Overall, it was a lot of fun, but some parts of the levels were pretty tedious if you had to redo them, if you didn't hit a checkpoint or something. It could feel pretty tedious. But outside of that and the usual 3D platformer camera issues, Pac-Man World Repack 2 is a great remake of a 3D platformer from a series that deserves more recognition. Next is Project Justice, which was one of my most anticipated games to play off the Capcom Fighting Collection 2, and I played and beat the game with every playable character trio as well before making this review. And it's a fighting game that's got a prevalent story, actually, that you're playing through. You have to save the schools from the impending evil. It's really cool 3D fighter by Capcom, and to me, they did a decent job with the 3D fighting gameplay as a whole, but trying to adjust your position feels a bit clunky at times, and hitboxes sometimes feel either too big or too small. And with that gameplay as a whole, I feel it lacks a bit of depth. Most of the fighters do kind of feel a bit the same. For the Rival Schools series, it would be cool if they actually brought a Rival Schools 3 and actually made it worth experiencing. But Overall, I was slightly disappointed, but this was still a decent 3D fighter. It's really not bad. It's just unapologetically above average. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Next is Disc Room. It's a game I've known about for about 4 years, made by Devolver Digital, and it comes as an extremely high octane, fast paced game. It's fresh with tons of blood and gore that you'll be living through every single live that you'll have in this game. And you'll start early on with like barely any abilities, but as you keep going on through each room, through each blade hell, I'll call it, more like a bullet hell genre slash blade hell kind of thing. That's what I'll call it. It's just one of those things where you go through each room and you'll gain new abilities. You'll repeatedly die over and over and over until you get a grip of how to overcome each room's gimmick. And there's various objectives in each room as well that you'll be able to unlock things for. So that's really makes the game replayable and rewarding as well to overcome each room and to even topple any of the gatekeepers, the bosses that you'll come across. Disc Room is a really gruesome game with real synth heavy music. It's really stylistic as hell with the art style, and it did release about 5 years ago, and I just wish more people knew about it. And if people want to get into challenging runs, that replayability is great. There really isn't any core flaws. I just think if anything, it was just super short. And if anything, there'd be like an awesome online multiplayer. I feel like that would expand. So overall, Disc Room is worth checking out. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Next is Mafia 3. Now, getting this game from a buy two get one free deal at GameStop may not have been the best deal in hindsight after all. It was my first Mafia game I ever played, and I wasn't expecting this game to unravel the way it did. Talking about the story from Cassandra and Burke to many of the associates you get to either hire for you or take out against your enemies, it leaves some ability for the sense of choice to be recognized as not really prevalent, not really important. However, the open world soon after the first 10 hours becomes extremely tedious, checklist heavy, reminiscent of multiple Ubisoft games, which holds this game back incredibly, and that story is held back severely from this as well. The open world in Louisiana was well represented from the locales, and especially for the time period, so it was truly engaging in that regard as well. And overall, Lincoln Clay is a great character that you get to play as a protagonist, who is in a very cool open world that is unfortunately held back by that repetitive mission structure, side stories that are just in the way as padding that you just have no interest in, and with some noticeable technical issues with the actual graphics of the gameplay and the game as a whole, like screen tear, especially in the late game, and some glitches too. The game had even crashed on me too, so it's just annoying, but the documentary style narrative, the way they told it that way, was pretty cool. But as a package, this was not as good as I thought it was going to be. But I'll decide if I ever try Mafia 2 or Old Country someday. I give Mafia 3 Definitive Edition a 7 out of 10. Next, we got Marvel Cosmic Invasion. I always been a fan of Marvel beat-em-up games, and this game was a warm welcome as a revival, but has some noticeable problems and blemishes on release. I know ever since the release they have added DLC and stuff, but I haven't played the game since. I just played it once and beat it with my bro, Boss Nappy, aka Bippy Boy. Make sure y'all check him out and subscribe if you haven't already, and follow him if you haven't already. But I primarily played as Wolverine and Ghost Rider. Their moves were pretty cracked, and we played through the co-op mode and the campaign together. We experienced all there was to offer, and it has great beat-em-up gameplay. The pixel art was awesome. The graphics are cool. Soundtrack, it's alright. It's above average, nothing crazy, but the momentum of the game's campaign, it just starts and ends there. The story itself is pretty not noteworthy at all. It's unmemorable completely. The gameplay loop as well wasn't even rewarding because you level up in this game, but you don't actually earn or learn new moves as you level up. You just use the same repetitive button mashing moves, along with not actually gaining any XP used for those stats that you're gaining. So the level progression your characters has is really just for show. It's a fun time, most specifically if you're playing with a friend or co-op, but it's not worth replaying at all. It's too repetitive, and it's a competent game, but it's bogged down by its inability for you to actually gain anything noteworthy from the game itself that you're playing. Overall, it just felt pretty empty, and for the price point, it's just not worth it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. If you could get it on a discount, definitely worth it on a discount. Next, we have Plasma Sword. I beat this off the Capcom Fighting Collection 2, and the game starts off saying it's a sequel. I'm like, what? But then I did research, and actually, Star Gladiator 1 is what the first game is called, and this is Star Gladiator 2. I never even heard of the first one, but it's essentially a sword 3D fighter with swordplay. Yes, sword 3D fighter. But the combat was pretty derivative. A lot of characters just have the same moves. It felt pretty easy to cheese. And I did like the sci-fi setting that the game takes place in. And the soundtrack was a bit of a banger. But, Illusion of Peace, one of the best fighting game tracks. If you've never heard that song, Illusion of Peace, look it up. But I wasn't too adept with the plasma gimmicks that the game had. The arcade mode had a story taken on Bill Stein from, you guessed it, taking over the world and being known as the all-knowing genius, but playing as him made me feel pretty OP too, because you do get to play as him. But I feel this game could have been better. It was alright. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Next is Cheese Rolling. Now, have you ever thought of an idea so funny for a game that in actual execution it works so good, and it's free and rated overwhelmingly positive on Steam? Well, you know it's a really good game that cannot be looked over. I gotta mention it. Cheese rolling is exactly what the game says. You roll a roll of cheese down all types of hills and locales, and up to 8 or more players online can run and tumble down the hill, jumping, grabbing each other, throwing people all over the place. It's such a jarring art style aside. The gameplay functions really smooth, even though you can play solo or offline, online. It's just pretty unique. It's a hilarious, fun time, but there is plenty of monetary paid cosmetics, monetization. It's a free game, don't get it twisted. But if you wanted all kinds of customization, it's all good. It's not like it's anything that makes you easily grab the cheese or anything. It's more so just outfits and stuff, cosmetics. But this is a blast. I thought it was a great game, and it's a multiplayer game unlike any I've experienced before. It's worth checking out. I'd be down setting up some more lobbies sometime, and I would rate this game a solid 8 out of 10. Next is Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, and wow, this was definitely a game I did have an interest in, and it was impressive from the truly actually compelling story and the engaging gameplay and the platforming combat, customizing your kit, alternating between 2 different characters. It made Ninja Gaiden Ragebound stand out, and it's going to help bring back more Ninja Gaiden games hopefully and bring 2D Ninja Gaiden to a real return to form with this entry. But as you continue onward, progressing with your kit and making it towards the end of the game, it gets very rewarding as you consistently purchase new perks and you consistently feel like you have nothing to waste and you always have a benefit to experience. And the campaign is overall just about 6 hours, which is a bit short, but there's a great game and story to be had with a killer soundtrack and great art style. This game is great, but if you love ninja games, please give Shinobi Art of Vengeance a chance. These games are pitted against each other basically, and they've always been kind of rivals, but like, Shinobi Art of Vengeance is the better game. They're both great games, but give Shinobi Art of Vengeance a chance too. And if you haven't played Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, please give that a chance. I give it a 9 out of 10. Now we got Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, which I was able to play for the first time and beat off the Capcom Fighting Collection 2. It was a pretty good fighting game. It was presented as like the definitive way to play this version of the game, and it fixed some of the original problems that this game had. But I really liked the integrated ISM system with Alpha, with the manual, variable, Alpha adjusting playstyle. You can bounce the combos of the meter that steadily rises. It was really fun. I actually liked that unique style with the gameplay. Variable was my personal preference. It gave you a custom meter, which gave you the ability to actually custom different strings, leading to tons of different creativity, unlike the other playstyles, which for me was worth having to replay the arcade mode if I were to play in that style. The soundtrack was decent. It was not anything to write home about, and it also wasn't necessarily upgraded or updated much in quality. Overall though, Alpha 3 Upper is a really good fighting game, and the Street Fighter lineage, that is worth your time to play or try. I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. Now we have The Moral Dilemma, The Interview. I saw this game on a YouTube video and it was free to download. I gave it a chance. It's a first-person puzzle game with a narrative focus, along with a concept of actually applying morals and consequences to your actions. Contemplating pressing that big red button? Press it and see what happens. And you'll find out how things end up. But you seem to get a vibe as you come across more puzzles and more dilemmas, moral dilemmas, that you'll be inclined to make certain decisions moving forward, leading to you not really picking what you want to decide, leading to you more picking what you know is the right answer just to go on. Overall, the moral elements of some puzzles did make me think a bit, but the game was extremely short. It's literally a hour-long game at most. There is something here. It just could be more. If it was longer, it'd be better. If there was more to like an actual narrative to it instead of just a focus on a concept, I think it would be better. And it's just a below average product. I'm just glad it was a free download. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Now next up we got Capcom Fighting Evolution. I need to preface this real quick by saying, with a lot of these games in the Capcom Fighting Collection too, obviously I played a lot of these for the first time. So I don't know how things were back in the day when these games first released for most of them. Some of them I do, some of them I don't. But for Capcom Fighting Evolution, I loved it. I experienced it on stream live. I played it. I thought it had a really cool flair. I actually liked the soundtrack. I thought the intro was really vivid and flashy along with the actual gameplay itself. I thought it was more than just Street Fighter being represented, which is cool. I thought it was cool that they had Darkstalkers and even characters from Red Earth, which I never even knew about. And some of those characters are really cool. And I climbed through the series from Red Earth, Hauser, who's so badass. He's so badass. He's a dinosaur, kicking ass motherfuckers. He's kicking all these motherfuckers' asses. It's so cool, man. And I may even check out the Red Earth series, honestly. But I thought Capcom Fighting Evolution was great. It was a successor to Street Fighter Alpha 3, yet it did away with the guard system that Alpha 3 Upper originally implemented, which it doesn't make the gameplay worse. It made it better in my personal view, honestly. But Capcom Fighting Evolution, I thought it was a great time. I give this game a solid 9 out of 10. Now, next up, we got Capcom vs SNK 1. I'd beaten this game off stream one night. I was a bit impressed, mainly because the gameplay and the mechanics felt a bit more ahead of its time compared to the other fighting games when it released. Most specifically the ratio mechanic for customizing and choosing who you'll play as. It's a feature that made the first major collab with Capcom SNK really stand out compared to later entries. And the ratio system of being able to select up to 4 characters or just choose one with more power, combined with the groove system to let players play with either mechanics from either Street Fighter Alpha 3 or King of Fighters 98 styles is really unique. I really dig that. However, the soundtrack is good. It's not super stylish as some of the other OSTs in this collection. This fighting game was one of the key starting points between Capcom and SNK collaborating as a whole, which I think this is really a good game for people of either of those series or people who enjoy both of them together and the newer entries to check out where this all began between Capcom and SNK. I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Last but not least, we got Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion. Oh man, now for those who know me, I loved the original Crisis Core, but Reunion, man, it's genuinely a goated game, and it's even better than the original in practically every way, which I wasn't expecting. And Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core was peak. For those who know, it truly was. You play as Zack Fair, known for being such a joyful, optimistic guy who goes down such a tragic and heartbreaking journey that truly encompasses what it means to be a true hero. Not for yourself, but for those you care about. Reunion's a faithful remake too. It upgrades the visuals, the gameplay, the quality of life, everything in between, while remastering and retaining all of the natural traits that made the original Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core so special many years ago back on the PSP. It brings Zack's story into the remake timeline and integrates it like a perfect puzzle piece that retains the original story. From how the story is told to how certain angles of scenes are shot in certain perspectives. Oh, they really did one-to-one with a lot of these. and the story is still as peak as ever, with Angeal and Genesis going over Loveless all the time, preaching those quotes of poetry. Oh man, and the RPG combat is even faster than ever, and you encounter so much of the characters from the original Final Fantasy VII in Crisis Core, which is obviously a prequel. You encounter Cloud and Tifa, Sephiroth, everybody, and just seeing how everything unfolds and seeing Zack, such a great guy who really deserves so much better. The music, the soundtrack, how they set each scene top notch, the graphics, the quality of voice acting, all were so good. I was impressed every single time, and I loved the original. I would give the original a 9.5 out of 10. Crisis Core Reunion, easily a 10 out of 10. With that, there wraps up my first backlog video of 2026, the first 15 games that I beat so far. I hope you all, if you made it this far into the video, enjoyed it. Thank you all so much. Consider hitting the subscribe button, hitting the like button, and joining our community as a member. Consider donating to help support the channel, and checking out all the content we have provided for you, from live streams, videos, music, and more. You guys can expect at least 2 more videos to come out within the next month or so about the backlog series, so I hope you guys are excited for that. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been VSips. I hope you all have yourselves a damn good one, everyone. Peace.